New Delhi, the most populous city in the world after Tokyo, home to over 22 million people. The melting pot for thousands who come here in search of an urban dream. But for most, it is often reduced to a question of survival. Outside the row of shelters, hundreds of people lie on the streets even as flashy cars whiz past them on swanky roads. Many of them die on these very roads every year because even basic health facilities evade them. Over 30 government hospitals catering to the poor in the capital, but none that actually looks after their medical needs. A wave of change was promised as these men and women voted this year. They may even have a so-called people's government in power, but they're still staring at corrupt practices, apathy and negligence in these government hospitals.
For the next 30 minutes in the Inside Show, we are going to bring you the condition of hospitals in Delhi and across the country.
This hospital boasts of 100% bed occupancy. But a deeper look will reveal the struggles of the patients who come here in the hope of free healthcare. This man here has spent almost all his day running from one doctor to the other for the operation of one of his relatives. The last time he came here, his brother-in-law was shifted to the emergency ward, but had to wait for over 11 hours even before he was attended to. He says it would have been a lesser ordeal had he got an MP's recommendation.
जब इतनी इमरजेंसी थी वो चल भी नहीं पा रहे थे कुछ भी अब तो एक रिस्पॉन्स तो है 11 घंटे मामूली में होते जबकि हम सवेरे 8 बजे का आए हुए थे इमरजेंसी में घुसे थे 11 बजे एडमिशन के लिए पेपर लेकर के डॉक्टर ने लिख दिया था उसके बावजूद डॉक्टरों ने कोई शाम को 7:30 बजे करीब जाकर के पेपर हाथ में उठाए अरे यार ये तो मैं नहीं देख रहा जबकि मैं कह को है कि नहीं तुम्हारे कहने से हो जाएगा तुम्हारे कहने से हमें 11 घंटे होते हैं मामूली बात में एडमिशन के लिए कम से कम कुछ तो इसकी वो बरतनी चाहिए 1 घंटे का काम है 2 घंटे में 3 घंटे में हो जाए लेकिन क्या बोलते हैं 9:30 बजे चला देते पर्चे रख दिए तुम्हारे कहने से करेंगे रात के 11 बजे जाकर के एडमिशन हुआ वो भी वहाँ पे बाढ़ में 20 नंबर में भेजा बेड नहीं मिला
नहीं मिली बेड
नहीं वापस भेज दिया था उसके बाद में फिर इमरजेंसी में भेजा था उस टाइम पे भी उन्होंने
अगर पैसे होते हैं या किसी का वो
होता है तो सब मिल जाता है
For this woman, it has been a cruel game of patience, with doctors refusing to attend to her broken leg for more than 2 weeks. When she pleaded for a plaster to be put on her injured leg, the doctors pointed at the nearest medical store, asking her to pay up for the 1500 rupee plaster, dictating the terms for her so-called free treatment.
यहाँ बेड नहीं मिल रहा आपको यहाँ हाँ प्लास्टर खत्म हो गया प्लास्टर बदलवाना था आपको अच्छा अभी पक्का नहीं हुआ आपका कब सुबह से आए हुए हैं
परसों आई थी परसों चली गई स्टेशन चले गए दे देते हैं स्टाफ वालों को दे देते हैं आज भी बड़ी मुश्किल से मिला सुबह के बैठे 8 बजे की बैठे बार बारिश वाले उससे हाथ जोड़ के स्ट्रेचर मांगा जब सारी भेज दी नीचे से जब वो दिया उसने लड़का ने हाथ जोड़े मैंने जोड़े जब दिया आते वहाँ बैठा
कब चोट लगी आपको 18-19 दिन से आपको प्लास्टर नहीं मिल रहा है
2 हफ्ते बाद बुलाया
Patients sleeping in the open, life-saving facilities such as oxygen masks, ventilators not available for the needy. Patients dying due to the absence of medical assistance, thousands of operations stalled, and hundreds of doctors' posts lying vacant. These are common occurrences at such hospitals that come under the Kejriwal government. Things have come to such a pass that the High Court has even sought a response from the state government over the lack of basic amenities in these hospitals.
Times Now spoke to a few patients and their relatives. They are saying that things haven't changed much. They are still struggling to get medical assistance and beds inside hospitals. Aam Aadmi Party has taken over Delhi government for almost over a month, but the conditions in hospitals haven't improved much. They are still fighting to get the basic medical assistance in government hospitals.
Up north in Jammu, it gets worse. This is a drugstore of the super speciality hospital in Jammu. A closer look reveals that the store has little to offer to this hospital. Its shelves are almost empty, and we are told that life-saving medicines and emergency drugs, even intravenous fluids, are not available in this drugstore attached to the hospital.
At a time when India is being hailed as one of the main medical tourist destinations, irony is that the patients here at the super specialty hospitals are made to suffer because of the shortage of life-saving and emergency drugs. Right now I am one of the main drugstore of the super specialty hospital, which has got 210 beds, and you can yourself see there is hardly any emergency or life-saving drugs except for the few tablets that are available. This is one of the reasons that many patients have to face the brunt, and they have to purchase the medicine from the private shop in the vicinity of the hospital. Not only to talk of the life-saving drugs, even the intravenous fluid is not available. Doctors, when we spoke to, they said it is because of the shortage of funds and the government apathy. The patients are really suffering. Many a time there are patients who can't even afford because drugs are very costly, and many a time these patients really continue to suffer here in this super specialty hospital of Jammu, which is described as one of the dream project of the state government.
The horror doesn't end there. A walk down the corridors of this hospital leads to the operation theatre. An eerie silence prevails here. The corridor bears a deserted look, surprising for the most vital part of the healthcare unit. A closer look tells you why. While the other floors are buzzing with activity, the operation theatre stands locked. And when we asked the authorities, they told us that for over 2 months, not a single operation has been conducted here. A short circuit hampered the machinery in major departments of this super speciality hospital, and one of the biggest casualties was the operation theatre. But what is shocking is that for 2 months, the hospital authorities and the concerned ministry officials did not bother about replacing these equipments, putting at risk hundreds of lives which knock at these doors during times of emergency.
For the last 2.5 months, this operation theatre here at the super specialty hospital is locked. Not a single surgery has been conducted. The patients are in fact referred to the other hospitals. Some of them manage to go outside state, but many others continue to suffer. Already the hospitals where they are referred to have got a huge rush of patients. So there is a long queue and they have to wait for months. Many of them die before the surgery is conducted. Those are the serious cases. But that is the plight of the patients because of the government apathy, and nothing is done to just rectify the fault, because the work for the power failure that has caused, that has made this operation theatre defunct is going on at snail's pace.
The impact not lost on anyone. With 210 beds, this hospital is expected to cater to the poor, those who cannot afford expensive medical treatment available in private hospitals. But with the government doing little to rectify the damaged equipment, these patients are forced to wait endlessly. This man, Shadi Lal, had to sell his cattle and piece of land to get treatment for his daughter. But due to a non-functional operation theatre, this family had to wait for more than 2 months.
हम सब बहुत मजबूर हो चुके हैं, बहुत गरीब आदमी है, टेस्ट भी होते नहीं है जनाब, हमें रोजाना कभी इधर कभी उधर 3 महीने हो गए, 3 महीने से मजबूर है सर, और इसकी हालत बहुत खराब है हमारे मरीज की, और ना हमारे पास दवाई, ना पैसा भी नहीं है दवाई के लिए, हम मजबूर हो चुके हैं सर। हमारे लिए क्या ये जुल्म है, इतनी बिल्डिंग बन चुकी है और हमारा इलाज ही नहीं है जनाब, इधर कभी कहीं जाना पड़ता है, कभी कहीं जाना पड़ता है जनाब। हमें डॉक्टर साहब भी हमारी मदद कर रहे हैं, मगर क्या करें, मजबूर है वो भी, जब उनके पास जितनी दवाई होती है वही देनी उन्होंने भी है, बाकी वो कहाँ से देंगे?
मिनिस्टर साहब आए कभी आपके पास?
कोई मिनिस्टर साहब नहीं आया जनाब, कोई लीडर साहब नहीं आया जनाब। लीडरों का जब अपना टाइम होता है तभी आते हैं, अभी हमारा कोई नहीं है साहब।
For Nazia Akhtar, a heart patient, life was never predictable. But after she got herself admitted in this government hospital, the uncertainty is threatening to jeopardize her life. For the last 4 months, she has been running from pillar to post to get dates for surgery, only to be pushed aside by the authorities, and a non-functional operation theatre only adding to her woes.
तो क्या बात, आपकी बच्ची को क्या प्रॉब्लम?
सर इसको ऑपरेशन है, ऊपर छाती में है, एक नीचे है, 2 ऑपरेशन है मेरी लड़की को।
हाँ।
तो अब मेरे पास कोई खर्चा था वो भी खत्म हो गया, 50,000 रुपया मुझे इस वक्त तक वो खाने और दवाई लाना, बस वो भी खत्म हो गया।
अच्छा ये मुझे बताओ, इसका ऑपरेशन क्यों नहीं हो पा रहा है?
सर थिएटर नहीं ठीक है, थिएटर नहीं है ठीक।
तो आपको इन्होंने कहा कि दूसरी जगह जाओ या
नहीं सर, मुझे नहीं कहा, इधर ही है, बैठो वेट करो। तो ये
आपको मतलब डर लगता है कभी कि इसकी हालत खराब ना हो जाए इतना देर इंतजार करने के लिए?
हाँ सर डर भी लगता है। बाहर अगर जाएंगे, मेरे पास खर्चा भी नहीं है, गरीब है बंदा, कहाँ लाएंगे वो इतना? ये तो मर जाएगा सर, ये मर जाएगा सर।
सर मेरी तबीयत खराब होती रहती है, घंटे में मेरी तबीयत खराब हो जाती है।
हाँ सर।
तो हमें डर लगता है कभी भी मैं मर सकती हूँ, मेरी तबीयत घंटे में बदल जाती है।
In the absence of proper health care and medical facilities available, many patients have fled from the hospital. Many beds are empty. Those who are slightly better off are opting for treatment outside the state, and those who cannot are endlessly waiting for things to improve.
What an irony, even the equipment for the basic tests are non-functional in this super specialty hospital. This poor family had to go to the nearby test clinic to get the test done. They had to shell 600 rupees from their pockets, which is very difficult for them as they had already exhausted all their money. They had even to sold their land so that they can provide the treatment to their daughter. This is not the only case, but this is the story of almost every patient here in this cardiology ward of the super specialty hospital. Every day the patients are suffering, while as the authorities at the helm of the affairs are not able to do anything thanks to and courtesy the shortage of funds.
The government is blaming the non-availability of healthcare facilities in this government hospital on the lack of funds, also using this reason to try and privatize the super specialty government hospital, a move that is fast snowballing into a controversy, with the faculty members in the hospital opposing the decision, calling it an attempt by the government to mint money by allowing private players to enter this hospital administration. The government has even signed a pact for the installation of machines in this Jammu hospital, but insiders say that the available machines are the ones being replaced, rendering the exercise futile. If there is politics involved in the government's decision, it may affect the future role played by the government hospital in providing the so-called free healthcare. But the people here are already suffering. And if this is the case in the winter capital of Jammu and Kashmir, the situation in the less developed parts of the state is as good as anyone's guess.
अभी भी थोड़ा बहुत पैसा देना ही
हाँ अभी भी देना पड़ता है, जगह जगह पे पैसा देना पड़ता है। और डिलीवरी हो गया उसको लेके चेंज करने वाले को पैसा देना पड़ता है, और फिर डिस्चार्ज के टाइम पैसा देना पड़ता है।
Another hospital, not just telling the story of sheer indifference, but also shocking cruelty. If we go back in time, this is the same place where a number of babies had been stolen and allegedly sold in late 2002. Insiders say the racket continues till date. We are at the labour ward of the Vani Vilas Hospital, one of the biggest maternity units in Bangalore and the most centrally located too. Record number of deliveries are conducted here every day. In fact, every day a stream of mothers are seen leaving with their newly born babies every alternate hour. But what transpires inside the walls of this hospital is enough to discourage any mother.
पहले रुकाते थे, बहुत तकलीफ देते थे और डिलीवरी के टाइम अंदर जाने के टाइम मारते और वगैरह कुछ बहुत ये करते थे और बार बार पैसा पूछते थे।
अभी भी थोड़ा बहुत पैसा देना ही पड़ता
अभी भी देना पड़ता है, जगह जगह पे पैसा देना पड़ता है।
और
डिलीवरी हो गया उसको लेके चेंज करने वाले को पैसा देना पड़ता है और फिर डिस्चार्ज के टाइम पैसा देना पड़ता है, फिर वो झाड़ने वाला आके पैसा दो बोलता है, सबके लिए पैसा देना पड़ता है। हमारी तकलीफ होती है, ऐसा पैसा होता तो हम लोग प्राइवेट में जाते ना, इधर क्यों आते?
Babies who are not even a day old are cramped together. Some of these mothers not given a bed and forced to lie on the floor. Some complain they are forced to sleep on a thin mattress with their luggage as headrest, while others have to wait for days before the doctor even decides to see them. With no beds to accommodate even the pregnant women, those who have just delivered are often seen lying outside the general ward. In fact, at every step, these women are asked to pay, from getting admitted to the delivery process to the discharge. Patients complain that this government hospital extracts money from them at every step, and the free healthcare is only a farce. In fact, through these bribes extracted from these helpless and poor patients, the authorities are making money on the side.
When Times Now visited the Vani Vilas Hospital, one of the oldest government hospitals in the city, in the labour ward, we saw many newborn babies and their mothers and many more to-be mothers waiting in the corridors, some of them even lying on the floor waiting for the doctors to come and attend to them. When we spoke to some of them, they said that they could not afford to pay doctors and other attendants the kind of money that they demanded of them, because of which they had to wait for hours and sometimes days to get even minimal treatment.
Over the last 5 years, the number of sanctioned beds at this hospital has remained the same, while the number of patients has gone up by 100%. But for the government, it is clearly a non-issue.
What is even more shocking is that before the child is shown to the mother, the hospital staff expect a bribe. If it is a boy, the rate is so much. If it's a girl, the rate is less. And they won't even inform the parents whether it's a boy or a girl, but they will take a bribe first. And in cases where there is a, the child dies or something, even for that, to show the body of the child also, they have asked for bribe.
Further down south, in Kollam district of Kerala, absolute apathy by doctors is at display. Kerala, which boasts of 100% literacy, their nurses who enjoy high degree of respect in the society for their selfless services. Incidentally, not very different from other cities and the government hospitals that we just saw. An unfortunate reminder of the callous attitude at one such government hospital in the Kollam district is Ajay Henry, who perhaps would have been alive today had he been attended to soon after he was rushed to this government hospital. Ajay, a BTech student, met with an accident on the 7th of January this year. Though this bleeding BTech student was taken to the hospital within minutes, he still ended up losing his life. Reason? The doctors at this government hospital took turns to examine him and couldn't reach a conclusion on who would attend to the patient. Crucial minutes were lost, and Ajay was left bleeding at the emergency ward for over an hour. The horror didn't end there. Even after taking so much time, Henry was not attended to. The patient was referred to the government medical hospital at Thiruvananthapuram, a drive of at least an hour and a half, even for an ambulance. Ajay's condition worsened, and he had to be rushed to a private medical college en route, where he breathed his last.
He was denied any kind of medical attention in the district hospital. He spent a precious more than 1 hour in the district medical hospital, but the attention given was almost nothing.
The powerful and influential always find shortcuts to hospital rooms, beds and facilities, whereas the ordinary Indian, including women and children, find it difficult to find even a bed and are forced to spend their time in hospital, on the floor and even in verandas. The wait is always long and unending for the poor.
The story is the same. Crowded maternity wards, unhygienic conditions, never-ending queues for medical facilities. Government hospitals, which are supposed to provide reprieve, often end up becoming the cause of agony of these poor victims.
The kind of funds earmarked in budgets as well as special schemes like the NRHM is mind-boggling. However, when it comes to facilities for the poor and the ordinary Indian, it is still a huge failure. Politicians do come up with offers, promises and schemes, but when it comes to actual implementation, the poor still suffers in the verandas and corridors of the hospitals.
It's simple. If you have no money or contacts, the so-called free-of-cost healthcare facilities are not for you. We showed you how government medical hospitals openly deny beds, medicines and treatment to the ordinary citizen. It's not just in rural India, but even in metros, the middle-class Indian is made to run from pillar to post. India's healthcare system is fast becoming a casualty. Government hospitals are critical. It is indeed an emergency.